All right, call to order the October 3rd meeting of the Polk City Parks Commission. Can I get a roll call?
Savage.
Here.
Reed.
Here.
Otis.
Here.
Converse here. Holland. Delaney. Jablonski.
Here. All right, next item is approval of the minutes from the August 1st meeting of the 2022. I have a motion.
Motion.
A second?
I second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign? All right, minutes approved. Agenda item number 4, audience items. Do you have anything tonight?
No, sir.
Nothing. All right, moving right along. Polk City Little League. Nice.
Yeah, we have Darren Naple, Vice President.
I
Wanting to speak tonight. Yeah, go ahead.
Forgive me if I'm not too proper. So, Darren Snaple, Phil Carpenter. There's about 5 of us on the Little League board currently. We don't have a president or a vice president. I think the only named person we have is a trip. Just like keeps it easy that way. So, Darren Snaple, I've lived here now in Polk City almost a year. We moved out 22nd last year. 2 kids, James and Olivia. I've been with Polk City Little League. This spring was my first season, so for all of us. Previous board passed it off to us in February, and we had a very successful season. Just give you a little bit of a background. Little League had 325 kids in 2022 from 4 years old, 16 to 25 games weekly, 30-plus team practices. As far as field prep at the complex goes, from the suggestion of the previous board, we contacted Woodward Academy to have their boys come and help prep our fields for the games. That was a donation of $3,000 to the Woodward Academy, the Navigator Hall. We purchased over $1,000 in field prep material and paid for over $1,000 in field prep equipment and equipment maintenance. We also maintain and set up 4 batting cages for the full Little League season and into the fall for the community use. If you've seen driving by on 415, they're still up. I think we're planning on having them up through Halloween. So I'll ask you guys to have some open-minded, take into account the value that those fields bring to our community and how we, Little League and the city, can work together to maintain and improve the facility. What we've done, raking, dragging, purchasing equipment, maintaining equipment, keep the fields in good and safe condition for our community's youth. What we ran into now that our season is wrapped up in mid-June and we changed the code to our shed is several travel team coaches angry that the Little League has blocked off city equipment for their use. They take for granted that the Little League equipment is there for the maintenance of the fields throughout the entire year. However, it's there for the maintenance of the fields during Little League season. There's been a few instances where coaches have reached out to certain board members and we've gone down and prepped the fields. We've made rakes available because we do want it to be a safe and fun environment for everybody. So what I'm going to ask city staff, Jason, is to do a comp from adjacent cities and towns. I've talked to some, Sheldall, Slater, Huxley, and Elkhart on how they do field prep or field maintenance. Most of the cities around us have one person who's not on the city council but is part of the Parks Commission or in some way related to the management of the fields. And there's a fee associated with that. Usage for travel ball teams and other general usage that's not just simple recreation, parents and children. So I want to ask Jason if he can do a comp for adjacent cities to see what they're doing, how we can attempt to copy that so there's some vested responsibility for all users of the facility to contribute to the maintenance and upkeep. We do have a nice facility down there. It's in need of some repair as far as field goes. Quality of the dirt, the infield on field 1 is a little rough and dangerous at times to some kids for batted ground balls. I'd like to see there be some sort of general guidelines towards the responsibility of upkeep. Raking, staying off when wet. We had several instances where we canceled practices and games. There would be other teams not associated with the Little League using the facility. It's not permanent damage. They are kids after all. They're not putting down, big footprints, but it does take some hours to get those fields back in shape when they've been played on wet. Prep for self and next use when complete. So I don't know if anyone else has experience, but when you show up to a baseball field for practice, you don't expect to spend an hour raking or prepping, so you have a safe playing environment for your players. I'd like to see there be a proposal for scheduling, fee rates, and general expectations for all users, Little League and travel ball, and parents and children alike, so everyone is on the same playing field. And I'd also like to see there be some sort of, I don't want to say public notice or warning or anything of that nature, but there, to be clear to the public users that the Little League equipment is Little League's equipment. Like I said, we had several upset folks who may have had access during the Little League season and maybe shouldn't have, and that was our fault, and we've rectified that. But we want there to be, what I'm asking the Parks Commission and Jason is for there to be some sort of vested investment from all users to contribute to the maintenance and improvement of the facility. I don't have anything else. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Jason, don't we have it in the code that we can charge for usage of the fields if we choose? And I think we've mainly just done that for any out-of-town fields.
In the code, there is a price structure. It is outdated, but it does exist. But there is a line that kind of supersedes that, mentioning if a team is comprised of, I believe, 50%,
Polk City.
that fees would be waived.
So there's structure in there that we can definitely kind of go through.
I had an experience middle of June. I drove by. I knew we didn't have any games, no practices scheduled. I stopped in. There was a couple teams practicing. I was talking to their coaches, asked them where they were from. One was from Norwalk. One was from Indianola. They chose to drive their teams to Polk City. So it was the only field available in the metro that's free of use and seldom has full schedule.
That's not uncommon.
I don't doubt it.
So like if a Polk City travel team wanted to practice or do they just go up there if the field's not, if after the Little League season's over with, like in July, August, you're seeing, if we're driving by there and seeing teams out there, they typically then would be a travel team that's just playing
After the third week of June, it's either going to be an all-stars team for Little League. There might be one or two of those out there, but the large majority of them will be travel ball teams. And we worked really well with the travel ball teams and with Jason's schedule. So minimal conflicts. I think the travel ball team was able to practice throughout our entire season without conflict. I'm not aware of any. That doesn't mean it wasn't any.
Sure.
But
Larry, right now, those travel ball coaches contact me, and then I schedule that and get them a permit to show in case somebody is there on the field when their time is there. So yeah, no, I know during Polk City's or your Little League season, that was with the rain and the weather, that was a nightmare. But yeah, no, I think pretty well together.
yes,
It's pretty common at larger complexes. So your Ankeny's, your Norwalks, Grimes, have signage up that says fields by reservation only or by fee only or different things like that. I don't know how quickly the word would spread that would prevent people from just showing up, but at least that would be a good start, I think, to ensure that they're contacting the city to get those reservations made rather than just showing up. But then they still show up. What's the consequence of telling them they have to leave? Who's going to do that?
I think that only becomes an issue when there's a scheduling conflict. Someone shows up who's on the schedule and they have that permit, and I would hope that cooler heads would prevail. There are 4 fields. Rarely are they all 4 taken. Yeah, I can move to another field, or yes, this is my scheduled time on this field, but that field's open. I'll just practice. question that we had was, how is it policed? How is it?
Ankeny's fields are locked. They've got, 6-foot, 8-foot fences around them, and all the openings to get into them are locked. And when there's a tournament in the morning, they go by around at 7 a.m., unlock them, and that's how they can get into it. The weather issue is a big one. I know when I had Little League, I was kicking people off. The same thing, you drive by and we've canceled everything. There's people on it. I've kicked people off. So,
I'm the same.
I mean, that's really frustrating.
Yeah, so I don't think you guys or the city can create a policy that catches every person that's using it, and I don't think that's not really what we're suggesting. Rather, and we want to see kids out there and parents with their kids one-on-one doing batting practice, fielding practice, whatever. But if we could attempt to capture some amount of money from the people who are using it for their travel balls, for the Little League, what have you, and return that money back to the fields for maintenance and upkeep, I think the community as a whole stands to gain.
Jason, if a travel team, because they're always they need to earn money. If a travel team wanted to do a tournament out there, would they just, could they do that? Where they were charging admission and things like that by just contacting you and just reserving fields?
Yes, we would look at that as kind of a special use of it where those fees would be applicable as to, field per hours. But yeah, that is something that could take place.
Is there any interest in moving towards what other surrounding communities do, where we do try to set up a fee structure if people want to come up and from other communities and rent the fields for practices?
I bring this up knowing full well that I'm likely going to be paying this fee sooner or later as my kid progresses through, my kids, both of them. They don't play travel ball now, but they probably will in the future. It's a community park, yes. It's also put a little skin in the game to make sure that we're keeping it in good shape for people who might not be from this community and maybe even are from this community.
So I start thinking 5, 10, whatever years down the road where we do have a regional park and we've got new fields that we need to start thinking about the same sort of issues with, and what can we do now to help mitigate some of these issues moving forward.
I think this is a good testing bed. It's a good testing bed for that long view to get a policy and practice in place, process that you guys can define and refine and check and adjust.
Well, and also if you start charging when you have a regional park and you haven't done it before then, you're gonna get people complaining about, oh, you got this regional park now. But if you start charging now, people will be in the mindset that when I want to use them, I rent a field. It's kind of the norm versus starting something new.
Darren, I just want to confirm, you're asking that I do kind of a comparison of both how other municipalities treat travel ball clubs that want to just set up a 90-minute practice, fees associated with that, and then also any sort of fee structure that exists for user groups.
Correct.
So, okay.
And I guess one other thing would be just the development of expectation of users, pre-prep, post-prep, kind of a leave no trace type of policy.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, I know Ankeny's fields are fully ran and cared for by the city. And last I knew, they charged Little League well into 5 figures to use the field. But I mean, they mowed them, they prep, they did everything except game day prep. Yeah, and like when there's a tournament in Ankeny, the tournament, Central Iowa Sports hired the people to go out chalk it and prep it. The city took care of all the maintenance to it. The fence broke, something happened, dugout fell, whatever. They light it. Like half the fields are lit and they pay for the lighting. There's irrigation on the fields. And, you know, that covers the water usage and everything else like that too, so. You know, as we look into going to the regional park, you know, it's probably a good precedent to start looking into now. Prepare for it.
I will, I'll do some research and I will report back to the commission at a later date.
What kind of maintenance do you guys end up doing now?
Sure. So right now at the existing sports complex, we do contract out mowing and fertilization. In-house, I know, you know, soccer does have some soccer benches, the goals. I guess technically most of the infrastructure would fall on the town. I know in the past it's been, Little League has thrown in some dollars here, the city's thrown in money here. I think it's kind of been kind of a gray area that I think could be cleaned up a little bit. But then also once Little League finishes their season, my seasonal staff and I really try to keep up with the ball field prep and the dragging of the fields. I don't quite have the manpower to keep up with it like they did, doing it every day, but we tried to get it done at least 3 times a week to make sure everything was fairly level, all ruts were taken out, to make it a safe playing surface. So yeah, it's we could clear up some, I think, out there going forward.
When I had it, like when COVID hit, and we basically we didn't have a Little League season, and come June, July, the travel ball teams were coming, we did take a lot of the Little League paid equipment and locked them up. And I know it made a number of people upset, but you know, when we've got a $1,500 mound and high school kids are on it with metal spikes or all the different Z-screens, we just locked them up. And I know they came to you and we told you to defer them to us, or you tell them that we locked them up because we paid for it. And, you know, you get one bad phone call and they were done and you didn't hear from them again. But I mean, it's the investment that Little League's made, and you should have the right to be able to lock up your stuff.
Yeah.
And keep it in good standing for your seasons.
Yeah, and we made the decision to leave the batting cages up and the L screens up, things like that. Mounds are still out. I want every kid to have the opportunity to be out there and practice as best they can, as much as they can. But, you know, when we take the batting cages down, I'm sure it'll be 2 weeks too soon for something. So that's something to look forward to this fall. Anything else?
As we're considering the fee structure, I think it's important to consider like the Little League's investment into those fields as well. Like if we're going to charge for travel ball teams and we're also going to charge for Little League, I think there should be some space there because of the investment that we've made.
I can fill you in. Just our last meeting.
Oh, sorry. I may be a little behind.
Thank you, Darren.
Okay. If we're ready to move on, item number 6 is to discuss the regional park project.
Sure. City Manager Chelsea Huseman.
I'm going to stand up so I can see you all instead of trying to turn around. Good evening. So for those of you that don't know me, Chelsea Huseman, City Manager. I appreciate you letting me come talk tonight, but I think the city probably owes the Park Commission some updates on where we're at with regional parks, so I want to come and give people updates tonight. So for those of you that don't know, 2 years ago, Polk City purchased 57 acres of property up near the new intermediate elementary school. Pretty quickly or shortly thereafter that, we hired a consultant to do a park master plan. Some of you were involved with that park master plan, but it was a pretty intense planning process, probably took, I don't know, close to 8 or 9 months. But we essentially, with that master plan, outlined all of the property and what was going to go where. So essentially kind of acted like a roadmap to what the property might look like when it's all built out. When we had that master plan completed, we received a price tag if we were to do the project all at that same date of $25 million, which is a huge project for a community the size of the city. I'm sure a lot of you know. So we had that master plan done. It was completed in August of 2021, and we have not done a lot since then. And a lot of that has to do with a number of things. So I'm going to give you guys kind of an update on where we're at with the regional park plan. So I can assure everybody that the regional park remains a top priority of the city councils. We are just trying to figure out how to finance it. So those of you that have been around in Polk City for a number of years, you know that the city did go to a public referendum twice for a similar project, and it failed. So our research kind of indicates that those projects may have failed because we were not diversifying the revenue to pay for the project, right? So it's pretty common that when you've got these projects that you're fundraising some private funds, you're going after some grants, maybe you're doing capital campaign, etc. And we feel pretty strongly in that we want to make sure we get it right this time. We don't want to go to the taxpayers and have another failure. So we are really trying to take our time to make sure that what we're putting in front of the taxpayers is adequate, and we'd like to get it approved or see it approved. So there's a couple of things that have kind of been going on. One, I think that the price tag of the park is tremendous. We are trying to figure out how to phase the project, and we are unsure of how to do that and prioritize the different functions of the park. A second big piece of where we're at with the park depends on the future of the city's water tower. So the city of Polk City is in desperate need of a water tower, and it's probably one of our top priorities at this point in time. Water towers typically need to go at a high elevation. So we've identified 3 places in town where our future water tower could go, and our park is one of those places. So we've hired an engineering firm recently to help us analyze where that water tower is going to go. So if you were kind of listening to me with master park plan, we kind of ate up all the space at the future park. If we are to need to put that water tower out there, we're going to have to go back and amend that master plan. Second, we have been working with the developer, Knapp Properties, to possibly mass grade park project and the subdivision surrounding it. I think that there's a big win-win from both the city and the developer if we were to grade the property together, because it would be a more seamless grade from the lots that are going to back up to the park and into the park property. So I was hoping to have an update for the commission on grading, but I don't have an update on where we're at with that grading contract or the possibility of it. So what I would like to do is come back before the commission in a few months and give you an update on kind of where we're at after those 2 things are kind of nailed down and answered. But that is kind of where we're at, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys may have.
How much space would the water tower take in that?
We think 1 acre. Now, ideally, if we were buying private property for the water tower, we'd need a larger footprint because of, like, when we go to paint the water tower, 20, 30 years down the road. But if we control the property, which is a real plus, we think we'd only need about a 1 acre footprint.
Has there been any conversation with Knapp having all those other homes, lots going in, what that's going to do to his property values or the working with?
We have had conversations with Knapp about the water tower and that we may be looking to place the water tower there, yes. We don't have a good idea of where the location is, but that's information we'll freely share with them. We kind of have a little bit better of an idea. Hopefully we can not put the water tower abutting a residential lot, and hopefully it can go more in the central of the park, but we won't know that probably.
Where are the other 2 areas that
There, yeah, the other two areas are on private property along North Side Drive or 118th Street. They are still a possible opportunity, but you know, if you were to look at all the three areas right now, we own one of the three. So that may be more beneficial to the city, and quite honestly, we might see that as a real opportunity to get the park project started if the water tower is to go there. What else?
Just trying to think through where in that regional park would be the least obtrusive, and reminding myself that's not gonna matter as much because it's gonna be up to the surveyors and where it actually needs to be sited as opposed to what's least obtrusive to the current plan. But that would be a bit of a wrench thrown in.
Yes, we think so too. When you go to some of these big facilities throughout the metro, there are a lot of water towers in public parks like this. Like I said earlier, it makes it a little bit easier to maintain from a long-term perspective, but I mean, it is fairly common. So,
It's an understandable plan. So would we end up going back to the consultants to have them draw something up, or?
I think, yeah, so what we would like to do is we are in kind of like a phase one with our consultant that we hired. We should know at the end of phase one where that water tower is going to go.
Okay.
So I think they estimated 3 to 4 months to do phase one. So I'm hoping we have some idea of water tower placement January timeframe.
All right.
And then what's the time frame for the actual building of the water tower? Like, what year out do you want to be building
We
it?
would be looking to have it completed in the spring, summer of 2025. It is a fairly long process. The cost of steel has significantly gone up, so we're looking at some of those problems as well as the availability of the materials. But that would be an end date for the water tower project.
Can you confirm if there's still money in the 5-year CIP for the regional park?
Yes, so there's $5 million slated in the CIP for the regional park project. I think the city's concern is that we're concerned that that's not going to go very far. So our original estimate just for grading the property was $3 million. And then we will have a road to put in as well as extend some sewer and water infrastructure. That could very well, get us through that $5 million pretty quickly, but we are really trying to work on how we could get this done sooner and possibly creatively. I will tell you one other thing that we have been doing is we're really considering the possibility of a capital campaign to assist with financing for the project. Jason and I have met with a consultant, and we're kind of just trying to get an idea of what that might look like to bring somebody private in that fundraises for a living and see if that can help us with our project.
Yeah, 25 million is a big bite to chew off, so that's
It
good thing
is.
to explore.
So these are smaller drops in the bucket, but has there been any interest in any of the naming rights for things out there? I know there's a fee structure for that up on the city's website, but no ideas if you've had any bites.
No, as of right now, no real bites on that.
Isn't surprising. It's still super early. Together.
We did meet with a company that might be interested, but they are not going to just throw something out there until we've got like a successful campaign initiated. So I think that could definitely turn into something.
I think one thing too, just to mention is, the master plan, excuse me, losing my voice from this weekend. The master plan has been done, but that's just like a very early stage of the whole development. So, I mean, there would be a lot more engineering design to happen. Yeah, it's once we're ready to kick things forward. So, you know, things like accommodating the water tower could come in the next phase of design too. So that just is all going to take time, I know, as well, just to get the design away. That could be going on at the same time as a capital.
Yes.
I mean, I know I've been getting asked some questions from people about the time frame. You know, so I don't know if any of the rest of you have, but I think knowing that there's still money slated in the 5-year CIP, it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's just, this is a big project to chew off. It just takes some time.
Do we have any idea how this is going to affect trying to get the trail tie? Because I know a big section of that's supposed to go through the new park. I know we're supposed to have at least part of a trail connecting over from Third towards the elementary school.
Yes.
That's supposed to be happening next summer.
We are hoping that phase happens yet this fiscal year.
Okay.
So the city borrowed funds for that project. We also received some grant funding from the Land and Water Conservation Fund for that project. But we have to work that project into our grading plan.
Right.
You know, we can't just go put a trail through undeveloped property. You'll dissect the property. So our intent would be to try to get the trail in as quickly as possible. But again, we're going to have to work that into the grading plan.
Right.
Mm. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Any other questions? Okay. Well,
Thank you.
Chelsea. Okay, item number 7, an update on Lost Lakes Park Phase 2.
This is a happy update. The park is open as of today.
There were people out there playing.
Yes, I went out there and
Meeting.
met some very happy kids and some very happy moms. So it's very much a rough opening. We do need to pretty up around the outside of the construction zone. We had to bring some dirt, some backfill back in. We'll reseed. We are right now minus a connection from the playground surface itself to the trail. We've taken out the dirt for that though, and we're looking to put that in on a larger concrete ask of a contractor to come in and have multiple things to do to hopefully get a better price on it. And then also a proper park sign. It has been ordered, just waiting, and then the installation of the Gaga ball pit as well. I do have a few benches that need to be placed as well out there, but the fun stuff is up and running. So yeah, and then once we have a little bit more of these things put together, we will go for some sort of grand opening, ribbon cutting. I don't know feasibly if that will be this year yet as we come up on fall and colder temperatures. It may be a first thing in the spring kind of thing, but I certainly see this as some sort of celebration, getting the neighborhood and everybody there a ribbon cutting of a long overdue park that we finally got for them. So yeah, happy stuff.
It's fantastic. I'm glad we were finally able to get that surface poured in. It's looked like the playground has been in for quite some time, and it just looks like a sad park where nobody could go do anything on.
Yeah. Well, of course, the playground people came in and did their part, and then subcontractor for concrete, and then subcontractor for the safety surfacing. So it's, but we're finally there.
Wonderful. Any questions from anybody about that?
Do we put garbage cans up at any of the other parks?
Yep.
And somebody's already made a complaint that people were leaving trash on it. And it wasn't a complaint towards the city.
No.
Somebody's kid left their sucker
Sure.
on the ground and whatnot, and so.
Yep, we do have some new cans out at Public Works that I should have proactively put one out there. But yep, we got one that we can get out there.
I mean, there's the I want to say portable latrine out there.
I don't know that there's
Is
a
there a
garbage
garbage-
can
Okay.
inside that enclosure. I don't believe there is. we'll get one out there.
Good stuff.
Okay, item number 8, reports and particulars.
I'll just give a shout out for Fall Fest this past weekend. I hope many of you were able to be there. I'll speak for Monica a little bit. I think confidently he's my partner in crime on that, as the Go Polk City side of it. But I think we were kind of blown away by the response for a second year event. So obviously the weather was gorgeous. It was perfect. The Friends of the Parks did an inaugural bike ride before, so we definitely had some biker traffic stop by. But I think all in all, it was pretty successful thus far. Comments have been positive. Look forward to offering that and making it better in the future.
And we don't have a total for the bike ride event yet, I don't believe, but the intent is that the funding for the bike ride will go towards future bike racks or exit stations.
Excellent.
That's all I've got.
All right. Anyone else?
Well, I just want to say thank you to you guys for all the work that went into Fall Fest, and that was a huge success. I didn't really get to participate, but I hopped by real quick and saw tons of people up there. My daughter, we had to, convince her to leave by the end, and it's one of those things, as your kids grow. There were great activities for little kids. She's in middle school now, but she had fun just being up there, being a part of it. So, yeah, thanks to everybody that's involved in making those events special for. From the tiniest of kids to the adults, participating in the vendors piece of it. So, yeah, congrats on a very successful event. Really appreciate it. On the city side, I know it's been a little while since we've gotten together. I lose track of timing and, stuff between. But we did recently approve for design services for the city hall construction and the fire station. So we'll be getting, again, we kind of saw some conceptual ideas, but now getting into the official kind of laying out the plan. Okay. Biggest update recent months here.
Okay. I have a question that I don't know that I saw, but the trail through the Van Dorn property down on Bridge and Parker. I know that there was you needed to close up the Waterman loop before that trail got completed. And I think you had a contractor that was going to do it. Just curious on timeline for when that would be.
I would be happy to answer that. So that is what is happening now. So they did some grading, and the contractor has until the summer of 2023 to complete the project. It sounds like they may get it done a little bit sooner, but the trail connection is not until next year's CIP. It's outlined in next year.
Wonderful.
So I hope that trail connection happens after we get water main open. That's the plan.
Excellent. All right. Anybody from the commission have anything to bring up? I believe at our last meeting, Larry, you had brought up a question about trying to send out a letter to the RAGBRAI.
Oh, yeah.
The gentleman who does the planning of the routes. Did that?
Yep, I solicited that individual. I've not heard
Okay.
anything. But yep, I let them know all about Polk City.
All right. Awesome.
All right.
Okay, well, I don't think I have anything else. Anyone? All right. So I guess we move on to adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. All right. We are adjourned.